Hi, thanks. And thank you, Mitra, for the invitation. Everybody should go and see the show. It's closed right now. And we're all here talking, but it's really, oh, yeah, well, I guess, boom. So, yeah, the show's really powerful and sort of connects to what I think about. So the introduction kind of talks about, you know, my practice in general, because I'm a visual artist. I make a lot of different kinds of work in different kinds of media, but now I'm deep in the resistance, so I'm not going to show any of that other work, except for a book project that I have. I published a book in 2015, which feels like a gazillion years ago right now, but I think it's kind of connected to a lot of this and what Tom was talking about, languages and symbols. And it kind of came out, it was this, so I show this because Robert Sullivan wrote this piece. It was a cover story for the New York Magazine on the Anthropocene, these salons that I was hosting with my partner Dylan at our home in Union Square on Sunday afternoons. And we were kind of looking at art and activism in the Anthropocene, and each Sunday we would have a different expert, a different person discuss, and we would have small groups, no more than 16 people, with coffee and cake. Very homely conversations. And the themes varied from all kinds of things. The first one, here's something, I think it shows the first few. The first one was with Royce Granton, who wrote an incredible op-ed in the New York Times. So if you haven't read it, go read it when you get home. It's really, I guess it was 2013 when he wrote it, or 2014, might have been 2013, but it really connects and resonates with all of this. He was a soldier in Iraq, and then he came back and was studying writing. He's now a teacher, he's graduated since then, but he took that experience of being a soldier in Iraq and every day getting up in the morning and looking in the mirror and saying, this could be the day that I die, literally every day, thinking that. Then coming back, and it was post Katrina, and thinking, well, as a species, we kind of were in that situation. We're seeing our species has reached that point where it's kind of game over. So he's coming from a very bleak place, and he kicked off our Salon series. And it was so they're really, they were very powerful comments. They kind of talk about them in the past tense, even though it's still ongoing, but it does seem like such a long time ago. Since November, everything's kind of changed. But I included it here just because those conversations are part of what I've been doing forever. My practice comes out of conversations and stories and yeah, literally just talking to other people. But the work that I make tends to not maybe have people in it. And I only mention that because right now I'm working on a show that's called We the People and includes nothing but people and human images, and I've been drawing portraits. So it's like my practice has, in one sense, completely flipped, like 180 degrees, even though it's completely exactly the same. It's just rapid response, I guess. So this is an image from the first salon. So you can just see it's a small group. There's Roy on the left. We took it to Berlin because I was invited. My brother John is a writer and has a publishing house, and he works with writers and visual artists, and he invited me to collaborate with him and produce a book. So I set up my studio over there, and we had a salon called Language in the Anthropocene. And it's too much to go into now, but maybe I should explain what Anthropocene is. Does everybody know the term? No. Okay, so the Anthropocene, and that goes back to the big boom. This image is maybe the starting point of the Anthropocene. It's the time that we're living in now. So we all grew up being taught, or most of us were taught, that we're in the Holocene. And this geologic time has now has shifted and moved into the Anthropocene, which is the man-made time. Basically, humans have had such an impact on the planet, we've affected it on every level, that now it's an Anthropocene. And the start date might be July 16, 1945, when the first atomic bomb went off, or it could, that's what they're still working out, when exactly they will set the start date. So I'm basically really obsessed with humans on different scales, one-on-one conversations, and as a species, how we relate to each other. I grew up in rural Ireland. I saw the whole cycle of where our food comes from and how we compost, and that's part of my just how I see the world. And so this book kind of combined a lot of that. I was working on it at the same time. It's called About Trees, and I don't want to go into it too much, but what I did was made a tree alphabet. So each, because I felt, basically I was feeling like, I came on a Fulbright in 2004 to New York to look at nature in the city, and I'm kind of still doing the same work. I realized, back then I wrote nature, and I was like, what is nature? Everything is nature. We're humans, but we're animals. We're a part of nature. The buildings that we make are a part of nature. I've done a lot of projects thinking about this. I spend a lot of time thinking about it and talking about it with people, and realized, oh, other people maybe don't see it that way. The word, and even the word green, has kind of collapsed and broken down. So language is broken. I feel like there are problems. So I made this tree alphabet where you can kind of see each letter gets its own tree, and you can download it as a typeface, and you can translate text. So Robert Sullivan wrote a text for the book. That's what it looks like in tree. Each tree text became a forest, and then that's the content, so it kind of spans. It was a way, and this kind of riffs on stuff that came up earlier. Thinking about now, you can't think about now without thinking about the past and the future. It's all connected because we are all we don't come out of nowhere, right? And so this is what the book looks like. It talks about everything. Oh, whoops. Okay, so now we get into people. So that was what I was working on, and I was doing other alphabets, and then suddenly the election happened. Well, it wasn't sudden. We were protesting before that. But I had this We the People sign that was photographed a lot and appeared in different articles, one of which was actually, you need to get over it. All of you Democrats need to get over it. And they used my image on an MSNBC story, and it was like super traumatic. But the We the People came from a conversation I was having with a group that Andriana Campbell was invited by MoveOn.org to do something post-election, because we were all super, like everybody was upset. I don't need to describe how we were feeling. So we literally just got around the table and talked about, okay, well, what can we do? So we set up this campaign for artists across the country to be invited to create stars of all stripes, because we went back to the basics. And I even brought a pocket constitution, which I have in my bag all the time. And I hadn't read it before, but I had to get one. And I just read it out at the meeting, and I said, oh, it starts with We the People. I hadn't even realized that before, because I'm Irish. I'm not an American citizen. And this kind of relates to something that Rachel said she might talk about, the fact that when I go on rallies, I have to step away whenever the ties, you know, the Ziploc things come and there might be possible arrests. I have to disappear because I'm not a citizen. I can't get arrested. Anyway, so to go back to this conversation with Move On, we set up this Stars of All Stripe campaign, and we invited artists across the country to participate. And the idea was just to create a really positive message, to invite people to share images. It was all through Instagram, and that kind of connects to the show. The show's really interesting because it includes a lot of Instagram and Twitter and all of this social media, and that's something that, you know, I've been thinking about a lot. How do you actually, is this work, the stuff that you use on Instagram? And so these are just some of the examples. We had Richard Tirvanicha, Ellen Harvey, Lisa Ann Arbach, there's Polly Apfelbaum. We'd lots of people send them stuff. It was a kind of emergency rapid response action, and a lot of everything that we've been doing has been happening like that. Then I was part of this exhibition, The Nasty Woman Show, organized by a friend of mine, Jessamine Fury, in Queens. They've raised over $181,000 for Planned Parenthood to date, because this Nasty Women Show is happening all over the world. This is just a screenshot of their website, so if you haven't heard about it, check it out. And so for that show, I made, all the pieces had to be like A4 size, so I made a pussy alphabet. So I took the tree alphabet idea and said, well, basically, now it's all about people in the streets moving, using our bodies. So I basically did A, B, C, D. And they're little femlins, kind of riffing off of the Playboy naked ladies dancing. And so I've met a choreographer on the street who has the number. Some of you might have seen her on the street. Her name's Annika. And she has each day of the 100 days pinned to her. So and she turns out she's a choreographer, and we literally just met it in the street, and now we're hopefully going to collaborate and create dances, maybe a flash mob, I don't know, written in pussy. And so I had little pop-up show at Rawson Projects in the Lower East Side, where people were invited to use, because the Pussy alphabet was turned into a typeface and a font, so you can write letters to the president. And they kind of look like hieroglyphics. So I was, because like I said, there's this breakdown of language, and with the trees, it was really simple things, saying, well, if you take a simple word like nature or tree or city or flower, and you turn it into something else, and because you know with fonts, it's really simple, you just click from Arial to Helvetica to Times to trees, and it's exactly the same thing, but how do you read it? And so with this, you can actually, because the ladies kind of look like the letters, you can actually read, you know, Dear Mr. President. So people sat down, oh, whoops. So here are people with their letters to the president. And the fact that, you know, because there's the joke that maybe he can't read or, so now I'm really here to represent, I sort of sped through that really quickly because I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about, and I think it showed with my name, it said NY Indivisible and Rise and Resist. So they're the two groups that I've been working with. NY Indivisible more so, Rise and Resist, I'm just kind of a newbie with them. But this is one of the actions that we do is letter writing. And so just a quick show of hands, is anybody here a member of an Indivisible group? Yay! And Rise and Resist? Have you heard? Yay, yay. Awesome. So the reason I'm kind of with the two is because I feel like they're both really important and really powerful, and they both do really different things. So with Indivisible, it's really practical. Maybe you've all heard of the Indivisible Guide. So that was one of the first things I heard about in November was, okay, well, what are we going to do? And so congressional staffers who had worked with Obama in the White House, they saw how effective the Tea Party was, and they were like, okay, we know exactly, well, we have an idea of something that could be really practical and could help people. So they threw together this really fast PDF and stuck it up online, the Indivisible Guide. And it's basically doing what the Tea Party did, just flipped the other way. And so the power of it is, and this goes back to, now I can't remember who said it, but the power, like just two people, small groups, you don't know how powerful you are. It's true, it really is true, because the Tea Party was just teeny tiny groups of like 6 people maybe, but they would turn up regularly and go to senators' offices, go to town halls, write letters, make phone calls, just have your voice heard. And so that's what we're doing. So with Indivisible, it's phone calls, letters, in person, and town halls. And so we cover all of that. We have a town hall tomorrow night, if anybody's from Washington Heights or Inwood or Harlem. I don't have any flyers because, like I said, it's rapid response. I just about made a PowerPoint. But everything is online, so you can all follow, tag, and friend us, NY Indivisible. And we're on Twitter and Instagram. I actually do the social media, so we're on all of those things. But so to go from like these kind of wacky, oh, I think the image that's missing here was the background of this. So basically, I've been out on the street since before the election at rallies, because I'm a walker. I spend my time out in the streets. That's what I kind of do anyway. And I find it very effective. And I happened to be in California. I had to fly there on November 9th in the early morning after the bomb exploded, and I hadn't slept. And so marching with people in the streets of San Francisco and LA was incredible, because you literally just talk, you meet random strangers, all kinds of different people, and you're all expressing what you're feeling, and people are in tears, and it's very emotional, but incredibly powerful and moving. And from the beginning, it was super beautiful. It was almost like a love fest, a love parade. And so it's a pity that image isn't there, but you can imagine it's like thousands of people, really colorful, super beautiful, smart, funny, witty. Like the resistance is the most powerful movement that I have ever experienced in my life, and I feel it's something incredibly beautiful is growing. So this day on the right-hand side, that's Anne, who's the leader of the tabling group at NY Indivisible. But this was at an action in Washington Square Park where Milk sang that song that became the anthem from the Women's March. And Krista Sue, who was behind the Pussy Hat Project, they were there. So we got to interview them and talk to them. And you know, it's all like the power of that pink pussy hat. I hate pink, but I had to get pink wool in knit hats. And so this is our new website that isn't live yet, but should be live tomorrow before the town hall. So it's really difficult to see because it's one of those websites and the designer just sent me the whole thing. But if you imagine, it's going to look super amazing because we know how important websites are and how difficult they are to make. We formed in January, so it's basically, Indivisible is literally just a group of random people who just found each other and said, what are we going to do, and who's good at this and who's good at that? And I fell into the social media because I work with visuals, and we have, as artists, you kind of use that stuff. But we're literally like babies trying to learn everything, which is really fun, and but it's also challenging. Yeah. It's very challenging because it's not like anything I've ever done before, because we're all working, doing really concrete things, like creating town halls. A bunch of us are down in Georgia. So I've been in Georgia virtually, because I've been doing their communicating. Oh, I'm running out of time. Okay. Anyway, so they're in Georgia right now with John Ossoff and have been there for 4 days, working their ass off. And I haven't been able to live tweet it. But so this is our Twitter feed, and that I just included that image at the bottom because this is them in Georgia on the metro is called Marta, and people must love it because we got over 1,000 likes. Like, we're just a little indivisible group. We don't normally get that kind of likes and followers, so we don't know what it is about Marta, why that image kind of went nuts. So this is the Instagram, and you can see because Kathleen Sweeney is she was doing the social media before. She got there a week before I arrived. And so for us, because we're both artists, we understand how powerful, like everybody who's here tonight, it is. A lot of the other Indivisibers are very interested in the details, the politics side of it, which I know less about. And so it's trying to balance it out. But the power of the beauty, so it's actually seeing the show that includes the Instagrams was very, I found that very exciting. And then Rise and Resist. So I've been going to their meetings for about the last 2 months, but I've only just started working really hands-on with some of the action groups. And I just realized now I don't have any of the images of their things, but anybody who knows them, they did the mock funeral in Washington Square Park. They did the action last Thursday where they ended up getting arrested, but they had planned for that in advance. That's why I couldn't be a part of it, because they plan everything, but they're basically on the street doing the fun, awesome, cool stuff. So that's why I think the NY Indivisible and Rise and Resist, these groups, are really powerful. And you just sit in their meetings. I go to church twice a week now. So the NY Indivisible meets on Sundays, every Sunday, except last Easter Sunday we didn't meet, but every Sunday at St. John's Church, 81 Christopher Street in West Village, 3 to 5. And then Rise and Resist meets on Tuesdays right now, so I missed their meeting tonight where we were presenting the Welcome Wagon, which is one of the projects that we're working on. Anyway, so tomorrow night we have a town hall, NY Indivisible. So like I said, if you're up, or if you know anybody who's up in Washington Heights, Inwood, or Harlem, please even just let them know that it's happening, because even if one person tells one person, and there's going to be a live band. So Artists for a Free World are these super incredible free jazz. They're amazing. They just thinking about them makes me feel happy. And they're going to perform, because like our town halls aren't like the normal town halls. Obviously, it's like much like more awesome than that. We did invite Marisol Alcantara because this is her district, so that was the idea, would be her town hall, but she's probably not going to turn up. We also have it in Spanish, our first Spanish flyer. And then this is my last image, 100 Days of Failure. So this was one of the actions that they'll talk about at the Rise and Resist meeting tonight. So we all know that April 29th is the climate march. But there's not going to be one in New York because they're trying to get everybody to go to DC. So if you are in New York and you want something to do, you can celebrate 100 Days of Failure. And they're open for co-sponsors, so if anybody is with an organization that would like to jump on board, so I'm hoping that NY Indivisible will co-sponsor, because we're drafting a press release. So for a lot of these actions, there'll be a press release. We let people know about it because it's an official action to present lots of things. So all of this literally happens. It's not different organizations out there doing it. It's just, like I said, random people who just meet in churches and talk about stuff. And so yeah, 100 Days of Failure, I think that's my last image. I've totally ran out of time because I'm used to talking for an hour, but I have postcards.
Thank you, Katie. That was amazing. And I know we're running really over on time, so I'm just very quickly gonna read Rachel's bio and then we're gonna jump right in. That was awesome, by the way, inspiring. Okay, Rachel Liebskin, our last presenter, amazing, born in Milan, raised in Berlin, educated in America at Harvard University. Rachel Liebskin has become known for an interdisciplinary approach to her practice, which incorporates everything from canvas and collage to performance and installation. Drawing inspiration from themes both personal and public, Liebskin has created a body of work that intelligently marries historical and contemporary notions of identity and gender, reappropriation, and reproduction. Thank you, Rachel.